Welcome to my second live. If you have questions on health and fitness, chuck them in the chat. But I'm going to riff on a question I get quite often with my clients and I guess other people around, and that's how to stay on track when you eat out or go out for dinner or um, go to a certain place where you don't know what's there or you don't know what to eat. So I'll run through like a little list that I've got written down here. And it's not an exhaustive list. I'm sure there is a lot of other things, but I just like pin down for like 10 to 11 different ones. And I'll give you a bonus one at the end uh, to make it a little bit easier. So first one is you got to plan ahead. So if you're going out, if you know you're going to go out to dinner, you need to plan ahead. It could be throughout the week, it could be out throughout the day, or just a few hours beforehand. So you need to look at the menu. So if you know where you're going, check the menu and you can give it a brief rundown of like, all right, well, I might have this, this, and this, and then you stick to it. So now you've said to yourself, all right, I'm going to stick to it. Because what happens is when you go into these like restaurants or whatever, you've got like so much to choose from. And because you're probably hungry when you go there, you'll probably get the most delicious thing on the menu. And if you're trying, and especially if you're dieting, you're going to want to eat everything. So look at the menu first and pick something that's going to be nice and healthy for you. You can pick other things if you want, but if you want to stay on track, it's probably better going for the healthier option. The most healthiest option on the menu is probably still quite high calorie just because they use a lot of oils and butters and all that kind of stuff just to make you want to eat more, I guess. So first tip, plan ahead, check the menu, look through it. I usually get my clients to just like send stuff through if they're unaware of like what they want to eat. And then we just go through it and go, okay, maybe we could probably have this instead of this and then work through it that way. But if you are by yourself, you would just look at the menu and go, okay, I'll probably have that. And then stick to it. That's the biggest part, I think, and the most important part when it comes to setting out a plan is actually following through with the plan. Because it's easy enough to just like write a plan and go, yep, I'm going to have this, or say with the diet, I'm going to, eat this amount of calories over the coming weeks, and you'll feel good and fuzzy inside because it's a good plan. But it's the hardest part is actually sticking to it. So you want to make the plan as easy as possible so that you can complete it. So yeah, don't just go, I'm just going to have a salad and water when you head out like that. When you go to a restaurant, like there's so many delicious foods around, especially you might get FOMO with other people eating around you. So I would just pick something that's still nice and delicious that you actually would be happy with having, even if you were like starving. You'd be like, yeah, I would be happy with that. And then pick with that and like stick to that. Another important tip before you go. So I think when people go to like restaurants and they want to enjoy the meals and stuff, they go a long time without food because they're like, yeah, I really want to enjoy this food. But that does lead to overeating for most people. So usually what I suggest is like have an apple or a protein shake or some sort of like protein snack before you go, like say maybe an hour or so before you go. This won't ruin the experience. This will actually give you a little bit of food and a little bit of protein just on the front end. So then you're not indulging on the back end with everything. Like some restaurants, they're very carb heavy, very pizza heavy or pasta heavy. So a lot of the dishes will have like quite low protein, and we know low protein for building muscle isn't like the best for you. Even though it's like one meal, I always like to get more protein in. So protein in or just a snack, just so you're not hungry as anything. Like when you're hungry and you look at the menu, like if you're hungry and you don't look at the menu before you go, you're just gonna order everything. Like I've been there so many times. You just order everything on the menu, and you're like, oh, probably didn't need to order all that stuff, and then you feel bad because you haven't eaten it all, and then some of you might actually eat it all. So there's the extra calorie, like 1,000 calories you probably didn't need because you went in there hungry. So don't go in there hungry. Make sure that you have some sort of snack or I prefer to have like maybe a protein shake before going, just a scoop of protein, like 20, 30 grams of protein. And that way you won't feel as bad as if you're having like a lower protein meal because you've got some protein in before the meal. Next one, stay hydrated. You get sometimes if you're hydrated, you may feel like if you're dehydrated, sorry, you may feel like you want to eat a lot more. So for the most part, I don't know, it really depends. I think just making sure that you've got like liquids in you and you're not dehydrated is the main part. So make sure you have some water throughout the day. If you're going there and you haven't had any water, like again, you just want anything to get some sort of water in you, and food has water in it. If you didn't know, food's got water in it. That's where we probably get like a liter worth of food from our food, a liter worth of water from our food. Um, so, well, I guess it depends how many calories you have and what kind of foods it is, but on average, it's still a decent amount of water. But I think making sure you're hydrated when you're going into like the restaurant, and then you can have some water before and during your meals. Now, you don't want to be like having your meal and then just like chugging water. That does not go down too well. I used to do that with tuna, spring water. Back in the bodybuilding days, it was not fun. I thought I had to have spring water tuna to get shredded, and I'll tell you right now, you don't. So, and washing it down with water was just not fun. I pretty well got scarred. Got scarred for that. Anyways, make sure you're hydrated is my main point here. Now, when it comes to picking the meals, now this is for people that want to stay on track and actually want to get like a good, decent meal, and not just like, it could even be for people that eat out a lot as well. Like, because the once off as well, I usually say just order whatever, like still be mindful, but just order some nice food because you're out and you want to enjoy it. But if you are constantly eating out a lot, I think choosing higher protein meals and leaner cuts would be your best bet. So, your chicken breasts, your like leaner kind of fish, like not some. I mean, you could get some, but that does have a lot of fat in it. Good fats, but does get up there. But like your whiting, things like that. Maybe leaner cut of red meat. Still, there's probably a little bit of fat in there. But yeah, the high protein, again, it's going to keep you fuller for longer. Doesn't really matter what order you eat food in. I mean, I like to get protein in, but if you want to have your carbohydrates first, that's totally fine. Doesn't really matter. We don't want to be too pedantic with this kind of stuff. So yeah, leaner cuts, if you can. And if you don't know what a leaner cut is, just search it. Look at the menu. It's preparing. Looking at the menu before you go, and you go, what kind of meat is that? I have no idea. You look it up on MyFitnessPal or on Google. Google, most people do. And you just see, okay, well, what's the grams of fat to protein ratio in this certain food? And you can just like compare it to, say, chicken breast, because that's, bee's knees. All right, next one, modifying your meal. This one is, I don't do it often, but I know that if you are eating out a lot and if you feel like you need to modify it a little bit just to get that little bit less calories, I would probably opt for doing this. So say instead of deep fried, you would just ask for a grilled. Instead of, chips, you could change it to like mashed potato or just potatoes on the side. It's just trying to find little bits where you can lower the calories, because every little calorie counts, especially when you're eating out. Because remember, when you're out and eating, chef doesn't care that you're on a diet. Chef doesn't care how many calories you're going to consume in his meal or her meal. All they care about is it tastes delicious and that you come back so you can eat more food. So they're going to put a lot of oil, a lot of butter, probably a lot of salt as well. That's why you probably gain like a couple of kilos of weight after a big meal. A lot of that's probably just due to water, when the salt and carbohydrates just not pull in, but like get drawn in with the glycogen in your muscles and stuff. So it's it's a real thing, but it goes away. So I would, yeah, modify it if you can. If you don't feel like modifying, that's fine as well. You know, you don't have to eat everything that's on the plate. Like even you could, when it comes with like a salad and chips, you can take the chips out and have mashed potato, or you could take the salad out if you don't like salad. Like, you know, you don't make friends with salad, as I say. But yeah, it's really up to you. Depends on how pedantic you want to get with it. But modify it if you want to. It's just going to reduce the calories. Next one, condiments on the sides. This one I do at certain periods of time if I want to control the amount of condiments and sauces that go on the meal. So, you know, if you're having a steak, just ask for the gravy on the side, or if you're having like a salad, sometimes I have like a dressing, have that on the side as well. So then you can pour it on, or you don't want to pour it on. So then they're not just, you know, going like these ones, bloody doing magician stuff on your salad when it's meant to be like 50 calorie salad when after the after whatever they put on there, it could be like 250, maybe even more. So ask for it on the side so that you can control the amount that goes onto it as well. All right. Any questions? Yeah, tuning's bad. All right, moving on. Now, drinks, when you come to your uh, drinks are a big one when it comes to like going out and that because they can add up quite quickly because it's easily consumed because it's, you know, basically a drink. You could smash that in like, especially me, I drink like just normal drinks I drink pretty quickly. So if you're having something that, you know, full sugar Coke or even like cocktails or just juice even like has a lot of sugar in it, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying we want to reduce the calories when you're heading out. Yeah. So pick one. So you could like, if you really like orange juice, you like sweet, then maybe take something out of the meal that would maybe buffer that out, or just enjoy it. It doesn't really matter. But what we're trying to do right now is we're trying to reduce the amount of calories in that said meal because they can get up to like 3,000 depending on how much you have at dinner or lunch or brunch or breakfast, whatever. Okay. So lower calorie drinks are like sugar-free, you know, Pepsi Max, Coke Zeros. I don't know if they'll have sugar-free tonic water, but you know, soda water, things that just have like 0 calorie in there or like minimal calorie. You can have water, and it would reduce the calories a lot. It's a big one, and that goes to the next point of like the alcohol. The alcohol as well is where not only it has calories in it, it's 7 calories per gram of alcohol in there. Depending on what alcohol you have, it's also got calories from the carbohydrates. And then you've got the lowering of your inhibitions the more you drink. All right. And especially cocktails, like a lot of sugar in them with all the mixes. You know, it could be like 300, 400 just for one drink. And they add up. You know, once you have one cocktail, you can't stop at one. That's what they say anyway. Oh my gosh. Okay, so lowering the alcohol content or just not having it at all, depending on how close you are to your goal weight, or if you really even want to drink. If you want to have 1 or 2 drinks, totally fine, up to you. It is easier not to drink, so then you're not worrying about lowering inhibitions, and then you're like, oh, maybe we could have dessert, maybe we can go, you know, it can add up. That's what I'm saying. But if you can like handle your alcohol, or just handle like 1 or 2 drinks with dinner, then that's fine as well. You just got to account for it when you track. So make sure if you are minimizing it, yeah, make sure you're accounting for it and not going for like the heavy hitters like the cocktails and stuff. And if you want to, that's fine. I'm just saying we want to lower the calories as much as possible. And you could probably do that with, I don't know, a gin and soda water with whatever. I don't know. You can figure it out. All I'm saying is it can add up to a lot of calories. All right. Next one, 1 to 2 courses, not 3. Again, you can do what you want, but if even just like one course, like you're going out to dinner, you're having like dinner. But some people like to have entrees, then they like to have dessert. And that's again where it all adds up. So I think if you're just like sticking to like the 1 or 2 courses, that obviously lowers the calories a lot. So what I like to do when we head out. Like what we've done before, actually, me and my partner, we shared the entree. Like she got an entree and a mains, and I got the mains and a dessert, and then we just shared the dessert and entree. So it's like half half, or you just pick one or two. It really depends. It's up to you. But again, the more food you're having, the more calories you're going to consume. And remember, when we're eating out, we got to buffer. We have to buffer those calories by like at least 20%. Uh, Even if it has calories on it, still up by 20%. It's exactly like food labels. They have a 20% buffer. So, it's a lot. So if say something is like 500 calories, all right, it says 500 calories. 20% of 500 calories can be like either way 400 or 600 calories. So it's within that. But it's probably going to be on the higher end, to be honest. And then they're probably going to be lower protein on the back end too, because they want to make it delicious. And protein, as much as it does taste good, fat and carbs taste way better. So they're going to go that, and it's cheaper as well. So yeah, you could probably have dessert at home. Like I've got this ice cream called, what is it, like No Sugar by Peters, and it's really not that much calories wise. You could get like 200 grams for about maybe 200 calories or something. So it's pretty good. So yeah, you could have just your dinner and then have dessert at home. And you're saving money too. So why not? But yeah, if you are heading out and you are going to pick a dessert, I'd say pick the one that's the least amount of calories, but it's really hard to tell. And it's really hard to, I guess, track when you're out as well. That's why it's important to learn to track when you're at home. So you could guess how much a chicken breast weighs and put it on the scale. And then when you're out, you're like, yeah, that chicken breast looks about that, or that steak looks about that. And the steaks usually have like how many grams are on there. But again, you have to be careful because they say, 250-gram rump steak. And you're like, I doubt it's exactly 250 grams. Like every single person is getting exactly 250 grams. So that's where you got to be careful, not take everything at like first glance of, yeah, that's exactly what that is, because it probably isn't. So buffer it, and exactly when you're having things, when you're scanning things at home, like meal prep services and that, you got to make sure that that buffer is in there. And you got to be honest with yourself, because when you're tracking, you have to be honest with yourself, because if you're not, then you're going to be like spinning your wheels. You're like, I'm eating this amount of calories and I'm not losing fat, or I'm not losing weight. What's going on? There's a tracking error somewhere, and you might be a little bit blind to it. It could be you're eating out a lot and you're just guesstimating how much is out there. But again, you're not putting that buffer on, because remember, they don't care. They don't care about your calories. They only care about how much you enjoy the meal and how good the meal tastes. So you come back and eat more and say good things about them. But yeah, it is important to make sure that you are putting that buffer in everywhere. And because you've got a human error as well. So people just forget that they eat certain things, like they lick certain things, that, lick, sips and bites or something. Just random things, like cookie here. Like it was Anzac Day yesterday. So there's, pardon me, there was biscuits, Anzac biscuits. So it's easy to just forget to track stuff like that. Because, oh yeah, I'll just have half of that. That could be like 50 calories, 100 calories. And then you add that up all throughout. Crazy. Adds up to a lot. All righty. Next one. I think this is number 10. And this is enjoy the meal and eat mindfully. So I think a lot of people have their next bite ready to rock and roll as soon as they start chewing their first bite. So bang, in chewing, and then they're ready to rock and roll for their next one without even enjoying the food, enjoying the flavors, and enjoying what that is actually involved. Like some people are very, like when you start to track calories, you can get very dialed in of, this is the food, this is how many calories it is, and then you just eat it. And you kind of forget about eating mindfully. I know I did for a while. Like after I learned it, I just didn't really care. I'm like, this is the calories, I'm going to lose weight. And I did. But then when I didn't track, that's where it's like, well, I'm just scuffing it down. I don't know what the calories are. Like I may be guesstimating it, but I wasn't actually enjoying the food for what it was. And especially when you're out, and for some people going out, it's like for a birthday or an event, and it's actually to celebrate something. So enjoying that food is like a shared experience with that person as well. So it's really important to enjoy when you are out and not get too fixated on, I gotta make sure all these things are dialed so I stay on track. Like it is one meal and you can blow out a lot, but it's just learning each time you go out that you get that little bit better, and then don't feel as guilty when you have dessert or you go off track a little bit because you've done other things to, you know, move you towards your goal. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm dialed in most of the time back at home, and then if I head out, I'll have what I want, and I'll still like track it. If I am tracking, I'll still track it and everything. But you don't need to go like crazy. And I just like to order what I want and not be like full on like just a salad. But I still make like pretty good choices, but you got to live, and that's what this last point's about. It's about enjoying it. Obviously, if you want to get to a specific goal, you need to sacrifice something, right? It needs to be something needs to be restrained for you to lose weight or get to a specific goal when you're changing your body. All right. So it's a big one to really enjoy, and then eat mindfully. That is one of the biggest ones. I sometimes don't eat mindfully, I'm going to admit, but eating slower is another one for you. It's just like really savoring the food that you have. And because they say it takes roughly around 20-ish minutes, depending on the person. My missus is a lot longer, but around 20-ish minutes for, you know, your brain to get signals from your stomach to say that it's full. And that's why you eat a little bit slower, and so you get full quicker. And that's what you want. You want to be able to enjoy the meal, but not get too crazy and go like finish your meal like within 10 minutes and you're like, oh, I definitely want dessert. And then it's in your mind now, and then you order dessert, and then there's extra calories. Then you have the dessert and then you're like, whoa, I'm full as, did not need that dessert. The amount of times I've said that, the amount of times I'm sure you've said that is probably a lot. So I think good tip is 80% full, or at least you can, you know, dance after you eat the food. So I like that one anyway. All right. Bonus tip. So you've got all these tips laid out for eating out, right? What happens if they all go to shit? Well, this is why you plan ahead, which was the first tip, but you don't just plan ahead on the day, you plan ahead like a week out. So if you know you've got a birthday or an event, or you're going out to dinner for a special occasion on a certain day, a week out, you can start to reduce your calories leading up to the event. Okay, so that will then give you a buffer of calories, and it just puts you at ease when you're out. You're not worrying too much about, oh, can I have this? Can I get that? Should I order alcohol? Should I not? Kind of thing. You're like, no, the last 6 days, I've reduced my extra calories by like 200 calories. And that's like 1,200 extra calories that you can have on top of, say, your maintenance. So you could even call that day as a maintenance day, and then your calorie deficit from, say, Sunday all the way through to Friday. And then what's that? Yeah, that's 6 days. And then you've got a 1,200 calorie buffer. And that's great. And that's plenty. And then imagine if on the day, and imagine on the day, it's you've got lower calories as well. So you're having maybe like a light breakfast, maybe just like I don't know, like a shake or something, or you just miss breakfast and you just have like a light lunch, and then out for dinner, and then you've probably already got a massive buffer on the day, plus the whole week beforehand. Nearly probably 2,000 calories, even more for some people, and then you're not even worrying about it. You probably even still lose weight. You might even bring it up to maintenance, and even if you go above maintenance, 2,000 calories above maintenance, it can be done, but if you also did this plus stick to the plan, inevitably you would probably still be able to stay on track with these tips, plus going the week before and the day before. And it's called calorie banking, and it's a smart strategy. Obviously, it's hard to do if you're going out every single night. But if you are, then you would probably go lighter breakfast, lighter lunch, or even just not have breakfast and just have like a lightish lunch so that you can indulge a little bit on the night out or whenever it is. If it's a brunch, if it's a breakfast, whenever. Just apply the principles of calorie banking, of just like taking calories from somewhere, making sure that you're not overeating on certain days, and then just bringing them all to the day. So then you got this massive buffer and you don't feel guilty. And that's like the biggest thing that I really enjoy about flexible dieting, calorie banking, all this kind of stuff. You can just like enjoy food and not bring Tupperware to the table, unless you're like full on bodybuilder and you want to be like dialed in like that. But for the most general population, it's like, why are you even out if you're going to do that kind of thing? So I know they go to extremes, and I've done things like that before, but yeah, probably not a good look for people if you want to, like, if you want to enjoy this stuff and just not eat, whatever, that's fine. Do what you want. But what I'm saying is do these tips, and I think you will be armed with a good set of rules to go by next time that you eat out. And I think I think we're coming up. I think we're coming up on the line. That's a good amount of time to talk about one subject. This is good. Any questions? Yeah, guilty for licking peanut butter off the spoon. Yeah, it is a big one. So just make sure that you are tracking everything. If you are going to do that, maybe put the peanut butter on the scale. So then when you do take it out, it's going to take everything out so you can lick it and it won't even be a worry. Won't be a worry at all. All right. Well, that is your, I guess, eating out guide for the live. Just had a few notes. I think this is a lot better than my last live. If you enjoyed it, let me know. And if you got value, share it with someone or subscribe to the channel. And I will talk to you soon. Cheers.